day timer. This information manager might be for you. It's regularly $99 on sale for $75. You say, how do I get hold of them? You can get hold of WT Consulting at 279-9014. 279-9014. There are a couple other things on sale that I'll be talking about in a couple of minutes right here on the Dividing Line. We thank them for being a part of the program, even though I'm not sure exactly which direction our friend over there would go on this. We've had some discussion. Yes, indeed. He's a science person, too. Mm-hmm. And I'm a science person, but he's a computer science person. I'm a biology person. They don't get together very well at all. It's really strange. But anyways, we had a discussion of time once, and it really got to be crazy once we started getting into how computers use time. Anyhow, I think that unfortunately most Christians today are in a defensive status on the subject of creation. I think we automatically become defensive about it instead of offensive. And I'd like to know why that is. 278-5555 is the phone number. We'd like to get your feedback today at 278-5555. What do you think about the Supreme Court's decision? Was it right? Was it wrong? Do you care one way or the other? You may not have children in school. Your children may be out of school. It may not be a concern to you one way or the other anymore, unless the future of this nation and this country is important to you, and then it might be important to you. 278-5555. I frequently tie into what are called computer bulletin boards. I never did understand how people could spend much time doing that. We call it BBSing because it's bulletin board system, so when you get involved with that, you're BBSing. And it takes up a lot of time, unfortunately, if you really start getting into it, because you're getting on all these bulletin boards. And we've been discussing evolution and creationism on a number of the boards, on about 3 of them, actually. One is a board that is predominantly run, has the most number of people calling it that would be coming from a humanistic viewpoint. And then there are 2 Christian boards, and there are some that call in there that are interested in the subject as well. One thing that I've discovered in talking to these folks is that we have the idea from the media, I believe it's from the media, that evolution is scientific and creationism is not. I mean, evolution has lots of evidence and creationism has nothing. That's how the media presents this subject. I remember the Sunday after the Supreme Court decision, I tuned to NBC, as I recall, and they had a talk program on. There was a commentator sitting there, and he said, evolution is not a theory. Evolution is fact. He says there's no denying it. There's no getting around it. Everybody knows it. Evolution is a fact. He was just adamant about it. Well, this is the viewpoint that's brought out. They say, hey, we know these things. There are scientific facts beyond any shadow of a doubt. I say, wait a minute, time out. Let's think about this just a little bit. First of all, evidence, facts, and data is not pro-evolution or pro-creation. Evidence is evidence. Evidence is completely and totally neutral. Evidence doesn't lean toward any one side. Science is supposed to be concerned with and interested in nothing other than just simply gathering evidence and formulating theories, explain the evidence. Fine. Evidence is evidence. Now, much of the quote-unquote evidence solution can be fit just as well into the model. What you need to do is you need to step back and say, okay, here are 2 models. Creationism says this universe was into motion by a creator, that he established certain guidelines, mechanisms by which those things he created could exist and could adapt to their environment. Evolution says that life is from non-life, that life simply happened by chance, that by complete non-directed genetic mutation and natural working on those mutations, the variety of life has come about. Thing truly is accidental. There is nothing teleological about it, no direction to what we see around us today. Now, what we do is we take the evidence, apply it to these 2 models to see which explains it better. Now, evolutionists will say, well, what is natural selection? See, natural selection proves evolution. I go, well, why does it prove natural selection? Why does that prove evolution? Well, they go, well, beings change. They adapt. Well, I agree, they do. In fact, I don't disagree at all. Natural is a fact. We see it happening. If a certain animal creates more and health spring than another animal, then there are going to be more around than anything else. That's pretty low. That's a very basic way of expressing it. Natural selection is a fact. I believe in it. It's not whether I believe in it, it's a fact. The point is, natural selection, I believe, fits much more clearly in the creation model than in the evolution model. Why? Because natural selection, 99.9% of the time, will favor keeping a life form at the position it's in right now. No change. If the environment doesn't change, then natural selection will keep the animal from changing. Mutations that they talk about, I'll see here mutations, mutations change that. 99.99% of the time are weeded out, and they are not favorable. And if there's nothing in the environment to act upon that mutation, it's not going to have any advantage over anybody else. So in other words, natural selection works as a maintenance device. Now, is not that what you'd expect to find in the creation model, a maintenance device? Well, of course you would. And that's exactly what you've got. Now, that means that 99.99% of natural selection fits in my creation model and 0.001% fits in the evolution model, and yet they think that supports evolution. Doesn't make any sense at all. None at all. So when people start saying, well, there's so much evidence for evolution, what are you talking about? What do you mean evidence for? Here's the evidence. Now let's discuss the evidence in the light of these two models. But people are not willing to do that. You're not going to hear that happening on a secular radio station. You're not going to hear that happening on secular television. It's just not going to happen. And the thing that scares me the most about this Supreme Court decision is the fact that they are in essence saying that my son, when he goes to school, is going to be only allowed to see how the evidence fits in one model. Not numerous models, one model. He is not allowed to see how this could possibly fit just perfectly into a creation model. That is the establishment of a religion. And in fact, there's a new book coming out. I haven't gotten to see it yet. I'm not sure if I brought my discussion of it here or not. I was looking for it anyways. It's just been released by a molecular biologist that takes the evolutionary scheme to task. He's not coming out as a biblical fundamentalist or creationist or something like that. But he is just simply pointing out, hey folks, this stuff is garbage. And what we see in the scientific community today is if you open your mouth and say that, you can find numerous professors who've stood up and said, no way. This is, I refuse to teach this. I mean, I'm going to let my students know all the weaknesses here. They lose tenure, they lose their positions, they're out in the cold. Now that is not science. What it looks like to me is science has decided this is our God. This is our viewpoint. This is our treasured belief. And don't you dare question it. If you question it, then we're going to make you look like you're a nut. We're going to make it look like you're not a scientist like we're scientists. And then you start looking at the secular humanist manifesto.